All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
There's a port on a western bay, and it serves 100 ships a day. Lonely sailors pass the time away and talk about.
And welcome back to the X Zone. This is hour 2 of tonight's show, and we're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. My guest this hour, X Zone Nation, is Brandy Stark, and Brandy has been with us before. It's always a pleasure talking to Brandy. She's a 25-year paranormal investigator and founder of Spirits of St. Petersburg. She has had multiple academic degrees in which she has studied the role of the supernatural and culture. Her website is spiritsofstpete.com. And Brandy, welcome back. It's been a long time.
It has. It's been a hot minute. But thank you for having me back on.
So for those who haven't had the opportunity of listening to you here on the show before, tell us a little bit about Brandy Stark and how you got involved in the paranormal.
Absolutely. So when I was a mere undergrad in back in the late 90s, let's just do it that way.
Okay.
I was completely fascinated by the supernatural, but also terrified by it. And so I did discover that if I did research on it, the intellectual side overrode the fear side, and I started writing papers. And from there, there was a little book that came out called the Tampa Bay Triangle, which is an absolutely delightful book. And it had local lore and legends. So I was enamored with it, and I started gathering more and more ghost stories. And then I started, it's kind of strange because the paranormal parallels with my academic degrees and my interest as being an artist as well. And so it's a very bizarre mixture, but I was doing an October art show in Gulfport, and they found out that I loved the paranormal, and they asked me to talk. So I talked about local lore and legends, and this couple waited till after the talk, and they came up and they said, well, I had already done 1 or 2 investigations by myself at that point, and I did not have the budget for a lot of paranormal equipment. Well, they were retired engineers, and they had a post-retirement business as basically house inspectors. And so all of the stuff that I needed, they had. And they were so fascinated with the paranormal that we ended up starting up the Spirits of St. Petersburg. And we were officially named in 2000, even though technically we started in 97. I can't believe I'm that old. But it has been a whirlwind. We were actually declared the longest continual paranormal team in the Tampa Bay area in a book called Oldest Tampa Bay. So I'm super proud of that, I think. But there's nothing like, decades of investigating, but that's okay. What are you going to do? It brings wisdom.
So how haunted is St. Pete's?
I really didn't think I'd be doing this for more than 5 years at the time. At one point, we would actually do 1 to 2 investigations a month. I mean, it was still new, and it was still kind of burgeoning in the public sphere. Lately, it has slowed down somewhat, but there's still a very healthy interest. And what we've started doing are much more long-term investigations, which has been really intriguing because we can actually track activity in a location or 2 or 3 over a period of time. So it's given us a little more insight, but St. Pete actually goes back to 1888, believe it or not, founded by John William John Williams, there we go, and Pietro Demons. And they actually wanted to make St. Petersburg another port city, but that wasn't working out too well. And so eventually over time it becomes associated with tourism and baseball and the arts. But we do have some really old structures. Unfortunately, right now, or fortunately, I guess, depending on which side of the fence you're on, a lot of our historic structures are coming down to make way for condos. There's been this super interest in St. Pete, and people are flocking down here, and everything is being turned into condos. And I am distressed. I don't know what to do for my poor ghosts, but we're trying to work with Preserve the Burg or the History Museum, and at least keep those stories alive. But yeah, it's been rough the past couple of years, but apparently St. Pete's quite healthy, so we'll see where it goes.
I've heard this from a lot of people where condos are taking over the inner core of the cities and moving out into the suburbs. And a lot of people are ticked off about it because it's ruining the heritage, it's ruining the look of the cities. And it seems that as long as the town makes money, the politicians will do whatever they can to fill the coffers of the city as well as whatever falls in their pockets.
It really is very distressing. They tore down kitty-cornered from my art studio and art lofts. There was a 1970s building, and they tore it down. It stayed as a park briefly, and now they are building this, and this thing takes up the entire space, and it's this ginormous building, condos, and it just towers over everything. It's not even done. So, it is hard to deal with that. And it does bring up the question, what happens to the ghosts that get displaced? Do they stay with the land? Do they go with the building? And I don't know. That's real. It's just rough. It is rough because I love our history and our heritage, and I've spent 25 years studying it. And now I'm like, well, this was once a haunted site, but it's now condos. So, what do you do? City council certainly isn't going to listen to me as I walk up with my, my blue hair and say, hey, you're displacing all of our ghosts. Stop it. So, but it's just,
If the president of the United States can save a turkey once a year, then I think he should also save a bunch of ghosts every year as well.
I'm going to go with that one. We need to have save a ghost on Halloween. Maybe I should try that with the president as they haul me away, but that's okay. It'd be worth a shot.
Count me in. I'll help you out.
Thank you. We've got Canadian friends that'll do this. That's perfect.
Now, Brandy,
it's been interesting.
For our listeners who may not know where St. Petersburg is on the Panhandle, where would you place it?
Oh, actually, we are the west coast of Central Florida. So we are kind of a sister city to Tampa. Sorry. If you live in Tampa, no offense, but we are the better side of the bay. There has been a 100-year kind of question as to which city is better, Tampa or St. Pete. Tampa developed as a military and industrial organization, while we did more of the tourist and the arts, and we're definitely cooler on this side of the bay. But we are definitely Central Florida. We are right off the Gulf of Mexico, so there's Tampa Bay. And this area is pretty interesting. It really has a unique connection, and it's been really fun to learn the history. So I guess I feel like I should talk about it while I still can before it's turned into a condo itself.
Have you ever had a call about a haunted condo?
Yes, we have, and ironically, it was near a location that was one of the paranormal hotspots in this area. It was called the Bellevue Biltmore, and it was the largest wooden hotel in the United States, and it was in horrible disrepair. But it went back to the 1800s. It had a big old fire, and it had several people who died there, and all sorts of unusual history. And lo and behold, they sold off part of the land to make, of course, condos. And we did get a call, and bless her heart, this woman was so grateful because we were at least able able, I mean, we had EVPs, the whole deal, and we were able to kind of quiet things down for her. But it was a brand new building, and she just couldn't understand why it was haunted. And I had to say, well, it looks like somebody's been displaced or they were attached to this property. I mean, there's nothing in this specific building that's showing a death, but they're tearing down the Biltmore. They tore it down except for the central section. And I'm thinking, well, this is what happens to the ghosts. They move on. They're going to move into these condos with folks. Maybe that'll be good for our business. I don't know. But it's kind of a sad way, but it might work. I don't know.
But Brandy, have you ever had a medium come with you to find out what the spirits or the ghosts are saying when they actually do get uplifted by modern developments and they're kicked out of their own homes?
You know, that's something that we have started to study a little bit more now because it's an accelerating issue. We have actually investigated a couple of places that were turned into condos, and we did one in 2021. It was Mirror Lake Condos. That used to be a high school, and it was known to be haunted nationally. And I'll be darned if we didn't get dual EVPs from two pieces of equipment in the same room with a male voice saying, "Just get out." And it was quite clear. So I think there's a lot of frustration, maybe. A little bit of unsettled feelings. So that I was really intrigued with. And I think you've got a good point, and I might need to bring this up to my team that we might want to start tracking this type of thing.
In your opinion, if a ghost is uplifted from one place to another, does the activity in the new place increase?
It seems like it does. There was a third condo that we've recently been working through, and it does appear again to be a displaced or an upplaced entity. And we've actually had to work with the homeowner to kind of try to build up a form of barrier around her condo, in the sense of, saging and trying to get rid of things, and the white light and all that sort of thing. And she feels a lot better, but if she doesn't do it, if she skips a month or something like that, it comes right back. And this ghost was a little frisky. It would, pat her on the bottom. And, I'm like, yep, okay, we got to stop this. So that has really been very intriguing and just mischievous. And she's actually said that she would like us to come back out and check the location again. So that's on our list.
So you really can't do anything like charge the ghost with sexual harassment or anything, right?
No, or at least rent. I mean, come on, our rent is skyrocketing down here. Come on.
Hey, Brandy, stand by, dear. We've got to take our first break. Exonation. My guest this hour is Brandy Stark, and her website is spiritsofstpete.com. This is the X Zone. I'm Rob McConnell, coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. Brandy and I will be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
There's a port on a western bay, and it serves 100 ships a day. Lonely sailors pass the time.
Sun goes down on a silky day, quarter moon walking through the Milky Way. Oh, you and me, baby, we could think of something to do.
Brandy Stark is my guest, Exonation, www.spiritsofstpete.com. And I'm Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone on your hometown radio, Classic 1220. Brandy, in your experience with all the knowledge you have when it comes to dealing with ghosts, what would be your definition for the word ghost?
So when I write papers, I have to say that they are liminal state beings. So they were once of the natural world. They have crossed over the threshold, the liminal state, and gone into the unconditioned or supernatural world, yet they haven't stayed there. So they're kind of in between the natural and the supernatural world. So they're in this liminal state. And I think that's kind of an interesting definition because ghosts do age out, right? There are locations where over time the ghostly manifestations have faded. And actually right now I'm curious to see what happens with kind of that paranormal tourism and whether or not that's actually going to ramp up the ghostly phenomenon or wear them out. And in fact, I'll have to, we actually did an investigation at one of the Florida hotspots, and it's like $200 to do it, but we do one about every 5 years.
Wait a sec, hold on here. Back up. You have to you have to pay to do a paranormal investigation?
Oh, welcome to the world of capitalism. It is a historic site, and essentially what tends to happen, this is up in Brooksville, so it's about an hour and a half north of us. And unfortunately, the government, the local government, does not do a lot to support historic structures. So what has started to happen is some of these places, especially if they find out they're haunted, will, like St. Augustine and the Lighthouse, let's say, which can be upwards of $500 to rent it for a night.
What a ripoff! What a ripoff!
But we don't do it often. But my team really wanted to go, and we had saved up some money, like good paranormalists. So we went up, and it. We were supposed to basically have the location for about 8 hours, and the very sad thing is that, and it was insane. We were going to stream. We were going to do a little bit of a live stream. I mean, it's a very well-known site. Nothing that we did would stream. We tried everybody's different Wi-Fi. We tried the location's Wi-Fi. We tried multiple forms of equipment. It was shut down. And in fact, the only time anything actually did make it to the internet, it was distorted. I thought, okay, that's a very interesting thing because we've never had that happen before. And I would understand if it was one device or one type of service, but I think there were 4 of us there, and we tried 5 different, and it was the same result. So I was thinking, okay, that's sign number 1. And then everything was remarkably quiet. We did have a sensitive with us, and she just said, wow, they're just really backed off. And I said, well, is there a reason? And she said they're tired of the same questions because they rent this out every weekend. They have regular ghost tours on top of that and paranormal events. And the ghosts are tired. And I said, well, I totally get that. She said, we can try to ask them something different, maybe something a little more engaging. But by the end of the night, I mean, we did get some knockings and we got this, that, and the other, but nothing like we had. I think the last time we were there, 5 years prior, was much more active. It was the only site I've ever been at where I got scratched. I've investigated tons of places. This particular ghost is a misogynist, and I was telling him to leave my team alone because several of my female teammates were feeling very oppressed, and I basically got, if you will, slapped. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Nothing this time.
Well,
and finally at the end, we just.
It seems that the ghosts in Florida are, should be slapped with a sexual harassment.
I'm telling you, we went into all sorts. Well, this was the Deep South, and it's returning to the Deep South right now based on our. Well, anyway, Florida has been really interesting lately, but. It was really intriguing because by the end of the night, we were probably there 4 or 5 hours. And I said, you know what, guys, let's do this. Let's just give the ghosts some peace and quiet. We'll donate the last of our time and just let them have their house without having to interact or perform tricks. It just seemed fair. And I don't know if we'll go back or not. It is the first time. And we've been there 4 times. This might have been our 5th, and it was just so quiet. And I thought, I feel for them. I mean, they're not necessarily volunteering for this. They might have been active because they want to keep the house.
Right.
And this was a good way to create an income. They do seem to have a good relationship with the curator there, the person who maintains the property. But it had to be very frustrating. And I'm sure they're exhausted because I would be tired doing this all the time.
But you know, Brandy, hearing you talk about the ghost being tired, number one, I think that there should be no charge put onto these historical sites. There
I
shouldn't
think so, yeah.
Because ghost hunting is, in my opinion, 75% history. And
That's it.
And
Yep.
25% is paranormal investigating. But you ghost hunters are a marketing department for every historical site going. You get them in books,
Absolutely.
you get them on radio shows, you get them on TV shows, and then they still have the nerve to charge you.
And again, I think that's a big flaw, and it tells you where history fits right now, at least in the state of Florida. That poor house, they actually had to raise a pretty substantial amount of money because it turns out the foundation was cracked. And it's costing them $20,000 to repair. And, other than maybe some grants, community support, they're still fundraising. And it's a very sad state of affairs. I think when you deal with paranormal investigation, there is an ethical element to whether or not, because I know the spirits, we do not charge, and most teams do not charge for their investigations.
That's right. Yeah.
But what do you do when a location does? So some of my teammates do like to go to these very well-known places, but I think over the years I've kind of started to stay away from them more and more. Number one, it does become so commercialized, and it takes the fun out of it in some ways when it's that commercial. And then number two, what is happening to the ghosts? And number three, could we be creating something else there from all of this interest in the paranormal? Are there going to be, attachments to people or
Right.
false ghosts? I mean, that, tulpa, if you can create one. So I think there's a lot that goes in there. I am very fortunate to be in a haunted art studio, but I'm also very protective over my ghosts. So, I'm not dragging people through all the time.
Brandy, I would say that you are a very respectful person when it comes to
thank
the method that you use to investigate the paranormal, because after all, these spirits, these ghosts, were once people. And
They are.
they deserve to
They're
be
conscious.
respected.
They do. They really do. And that's something that I personally have been struggling with. So there's another location that my team would like to do a tour, and that is the Cuban Club in Tampa, which is another hot spot. But again, I have a lot of questions about it because they're not going to let us go in for free. I don't even know if they'll let us do a private tour, but it's also owned by a tour company, right? So and so I'm thinking, and I know some of them want to do it, and I don't have any interest, but it's also not fair, to completely say, you can't do that.
Right.
It's an important part to have a little bit of give when it comes to this, but personally, yeah, I don't know what to do with it, and it's something that I think a lot of people don't think about, and they don't care to think about, in part because paranormal investigation has a thrill to it, and we're really seeking the emotive, and we're restless, and we want to have that intense connection. So the irony is that your intense connection most of the time will not be at these haunted locations. It will usually be a close friend or family member, and it's usually when you're not expecting it. It's that thing that people are like, did that happen to me? Is this something special? And I usually have to look at them and say, if you have to ask those questions, then yes, it is special.
Brandy, is it possible that one of the reasons why some of these ghost groups go in and they actually vocally abuse the spirits? Is it because that the spirits are just burning out, and that in order to get anything, these people have to, I don't agree with it, but they have
Yeah, I
to
think
turn
so.
to these kind of tactics?
It's not just that people are turning to these tactics, but again, we are being educated by television. My poor little educational self kind of shrugs some days. The students coming up now are a little more savvy on some of this, but the TV shows also show abuse,
Yeah.
and the whole point is to get a response. And I'm thinking, well, no, no, it's not. Um, it and it's so disheartening because again, pretty much worldwide there is that general concept to treat others as you wish to be treated.
Exactly.
And I don't think it matters if you're dead or alive. I think that respect needs to transcend both.
Just
Um,
because we don't understand how life, continues after death doesn't mean that the respect that should be given to the person's memory needs to be obliterated just for TV ratings.
And that's it. And unfortunately, in today's system, that is not upheld. It's all about the ratings. And I know right now I gave up my cable like half the world did, and I'm on a Roku device, and they actually have a whole paranormal, I'm like a whole channel dedicated to all these paranormal shows, and I can't even. I'm just like, nope, pass.
Brandy,
So-
we've got to take our break at the bottom of the hour. Please stand by. Exonation Brandy Stark is our guest. Her website is spiritsofstpete.com. And I'm going to spell it for you. SPIRITSOFSTPETE. That's spiritsofstpete.com. And Brandy and I will return on the other side of this break as we continue this edition of the X Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard, Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. until midnight Eastern, right here on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca.
Sun goes down on a silky day. Court of moon walking through the Milky Way. I used to think maybe you love me. Now, baby, I'm sure. And I just can't wait till the
All right, if you're driving your car throughout Niagara right now and you're listening to, Walking on Sunshine, please don't do that when you're driving. Or if you're at one of the local pubs, get off the table. Stop doing that. Listen. That's what you're supposed to do. Listen, I love dancing too, but I used to dance on tables in my younger years, but I stopped that ever since I fell off one. So I hope you're enjoying tonight's show, everyone. This is the X, and I'm Rob McConnell. My special guest this hour, all the way from St. Petersburg, Florida, is the one and only Brandy Stark, and her website is spiritsofstpete.com. What about all these other places that are droned by wannabe spiritualists, wannabe paranormal investigators, armchair investigators, and of course the TV shows like The Waverly? Like, how many
Yeah.
times do these poor spirits need to be neglected?
And again, that's part of that whole commercialization element. There is so much going on in the world today. I mean, we've seen kind of a dissolution of the moderate religions. We're seeing really conservative religions coming in. We're seeing, in America, this has been a remarkably fast decline in religious belief. And I'll tie this in, but since the 70s, I mean, it's dropped to under 50%. And of course, this nation is all about religion. Okay. Anyway, that's world religions, not this topic. But the thing is that I think people are seeking that connection to the other world. But the problem is that starting in the 80s and 90s, we saw the rise of emotive TV, emotive news, emotive, this whole level of stirring the emotions to get a response. And I think we have really become acculturated to that. We want that, we crave that. And I think so much in life has become so bland, that we are stepping into that supernatural world just to find the thrill. Waverly, I feel terrible for those poor entities. And in fact, one of my former teammates who has subsequently passed on herself, she played there when she was a kid, and she said nothing happened to her, and so I find that truly intriguing. I mean, how haunted is a location, and can the hype make it haunted? I do remember going on a ghost tour in Scotland. And it was so funny because it's all these, tourists and Americans usually. And we're underneath the city, and we're in this room called the Witch's Circle. I think this was Edinburgh, I'm pretty sure. And just to show you how dark it is, they turn off the lights. And so everybody's standing there, and they've told you this creepy story about how, you can get scratched, and people have, and all this. And out of the middle, and I still love the story, in the middle of this dark room, we hear this shriek. And so they turn on the lights, and the shriek came from a young man. He's got to be in his 20s. And somebody's backpack had slid down their arm off their shoulder and brushed him. And he just screamed. I mean, it was great. I had my little infrared camera. He could not hide from this. I knew what happened. But it's one of those suggestion things, right? And so I think maybe that's what's happening now. There's just such complexity to what we're dealing with, and I would even tie that into an element of escapism. America has become so polarized that, I mean, it's rough here. It is really hard to deal with, and to find out your friends are on the other side of that political polarization.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And so maybe it also ties into some escapism, a way to connect to something emotively that doesn't cost you, a friendship or a debate. I mean, we're in a weird time.
I can give you another example of this preconceived idea that you're going to be scared or something is going to happen. Here in Niagara, we have Fort George was one of the forts when our good neighbors to the south and the British up here had their own ideas of what they wanted to do. And during the War of 1812. Now, there are tours that go through Fort George all year, except the wintertime. I've gone on a couple of the tours, and I don't think I'm welcome there anymore. I don't know about this. Because you go there, people say, oh, I can hear the violins playing, or I can hear the shots, or I can smell the bakery. I just saw someone in the corner wearing a soldier's uniform. Now, why didn't anybody check first to let the public know that where this fort is now was not where it was during the War of 1812?
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it's totally in a different location. And my question to the tour operator was, didn't you guys know this before you started? Well, yes, but what? That's the last time I was invited on a tour through St. George, through Fort George, and that was about 30 years ago.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
But again, you see, and that's about the start of this.
Yeah.
The 90s were interesting because we had that millennialism, the whole end of the world at 2000 coming up. So you see this whole interest in the supernatural coming back. But again, it combines with kind of that consumerism. And I think that's interesting. Although I'm surprised to hear about that from our northern friends up there. You guys always seem so much more grounded than we do.
You see, there's another misconception.
You are right. I do remember teaching a study abroad, and I had my little American class, and there was this ginormous class of students from Canada, and other than being a little pastier, I mean, no offense, but a little lighter, they were more obnoxious. So, I don't know. Maybe it was just a gathering of young people in one location, but I don't know. It's always been interesting, but I don't know. It's they could have argued that there was an attachment to the building, I guess, but
Well, yeah, if they would have used the same material from the original fort, I could see that.
ooh, so you mean it's completely reconstructed?
The majority
Not
is,
the
yeah.
original. Oh wow. Then that's a good way to sell tours, I guess.
It is.
That's
And,
a-
I've got nothing against that. I really don't, because Niagara is rich in history. And I think that paranormal
It is,
groups
yeah.
and tours keep history alive. And my hat
Yeah,
is off to each and every one of them that do it for the right reason. And I really think that the group up here does it for the right reason. And if people go there, they learn. And if they suffer from the psychological effect of what could have been, I'm for that 100%. But when you hear of organizations or locations that have enveloped this money making method by being part of paratourism, I think it's gone way
Yeah.
too far. It's gone way too far.
I think so too. And that type of experience is totally different than, I will tell you, we just had a case this past year at a location in Roser Park, which is a really old neighborhood down here. It goes back to 1911.
Wow.
If I didn't have my house paid for, I would totally be living there. I love it. And we are in this house, and the homeowner, it is a small bungalow. When he doesn't have a TV, it's completely quiet in there. When everything is, at night, it's just so quiet. And he would hear footsteps going back and forth, and he's the only one living there. He has a cat, and that's it. And the weirdest thing is that we're doing this investigation. We are getting activity. One thing that would happen is the lights would like to turn off by themselves. Now, he does have a wireless light system, and I'm like, well, please change your password. But we did. It is not supposed to do what it's doing. He had it checked by an electrician. We even checked the circuit box, and he was okay with that. And the lights that were going off didn't even match the circuit pattern.
Oh, boy.
We were definitely getting some readings. And the weirdest thing, and this is where that research comes in, this homeowner had been there 2 years. I have a researcher, and she goes into the archives, and all of a sudden she starts sending us these articles. Now, this was after the case or after the investigation, but it blew me away. I mean, this is the stuff that you want, because all of a sudden it turns out that in 1979, there was a dispute between neighbors. The neighbor to his right had come over to see the couple that lived there. I guess he worked for the other man's boss, the homeowners. Anyway, it's complicated. But what ended up happening was nobody was home except for this 18-year-old kid. And I guess they started drinking, because this is old Florida, and that's how it worked. A 40-something-year-old man and an 18-year-old kid drinking, waiting for his parents to come home. And he started kind of speaking disparagingly about the kid's father, who was his boss. And then he smacked down the mother as well. Basically, yeah. And so what does an 18-year-old kid in Florida, and during a kind of Florida was a really, really tough state at that point. Well, this is what he does. He beats you up. And he beat this guy up so badly, and he threw him out the back door, literally threw him out the back door. He was found. They initially said he had fallen due to the drinking, but it does turn out the kid had to admit that he had beaten him. The man went to a hospital and died 10 days later. The young man ended up going to jail for second-degree murder. But it's the weirdest thing when the homeowner had no idea, none whatsoever. We had no idea going in whatsoever. But the area of activity, the things that were happening, and then you find these articles and you're like, oh my Lord. And, it gives some understanding, and it gives credence to what you're picking up. So, worked with the homeowner. The house is definitely much calmer. And in fact, he said it was incredibly calm after the investigation, and that's our goal. The lights still turn on and off sometimes by themselves, and it has actually switched rooms on its own. But it's really intriguing, and he feels a lot better in there. But
Really, yeah.
oh my gosh, when you ping on that research, I just remember reading the articles on my phone.
Hey,
and just going,
Brandy, we're going to have to do a bit of a cliffhanger here because we're up against our final break. And Exonation, I can assure you that Brandy's going to be back on other shows because love talking to this lady. She knows what she's talking about. She's a historian. She's an artist. But she's just a generally nice person. And that's what this world needs more of. Brandy, stand by. We'll be back on the other side as we continue here in the X-Zone with our guest, Brandy Stark. Her website is spiritsofstpete.com. I'm Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone, and we wrap up tonight's show on the other side of this break. So whatever you do, don't go away.
Times have changed. Our kids are getting worse. They won't obey their parents, they just want. Our kids are getting worse. They won't obey their parents, they just want to fart and curse.
Should we blame the government or blame society?
Or should we blame the images on TV?
No, blame Canada. Blame Canada. With all their beady little eyes and flapping heads so full of lies. Blame Canada. Blame Canada.
Ah, there you go. For our American friends. Blame Canada from South Park. It gets a little dicey, so I'm glad we cut it off when we did. Brandy Stark is my special guest, spiritsofstpete.com. Brandy, thanks very much for coming on the show. Always a great pleasure talking to you. You must be the hardest working paranormal researcher, artist in that part of the Florida, so thanks for all you do.
Thank you. We're having a blast. We are getting ready for Valentine, which is second Halloween in February. So I've been running around doing that.
Whoa.
We'll be doing...
Valentine? Never heard of that before.
It's because I made it up. So Valentine's Day, believe it or not, the whole thing about love is countered with death, and they've always tied together violence and passion, right? So because I'm not a sweet person, Valentine's Day never meant anything. So I remember joking around and saying we should be making like second Halloween. There was actually a little meme that came out about that. And so we did. So it's Valentine. And I'm going to spread this worldwide. Just you wait. It's a Gothic Valentine's Day. This year we're featuring Edgar Allan Poe. But in the past, we've done like the Addams Family, Little Shop of Horrors,
Right.
Kiss of Death. And we are doing a big art opening down here in St. Pete. I have a second art show that will be going at a place called Smoke 19. We're doing a full moon ghost tour in Roser Park. And then I'm going to be talking at Nerd Night. So it's just kind of a fun thing to do. And we're just kind of I'm slowly but surely turning February into October. That's my goal.
If anybody can do it, you can.
We're doing this, let me tell you.
Yeah.
This year's been the most, well, knock on wood. It's very successful. So,
Before we went to the break, we were talking about, spirits and how they seem to fade in and out, and we were talking about that last house you were at. Is it possible that the imprint that the ghost leaves on the electromagnetic field either dissipates or goes somewhere else?
That's what's so interesting. I do have a question about the EM, because there's this idea that we know, for example, that the heart is electrical, right?
Yes.
It pumps, and we create a biomagnetic field that's 3 feet around us. And I see that where the jump goes to the EMF meter. But would an entity be able to draw from the surrounding EM? And of course, particularly in today's world where everything is electronic, Sorry, I have a very naughty pug, apparently. Would you stop, AJ? Oh, jeez. Anyway, so, I've actually had to lie here in the dark with the pugs, making pretend that we're sleeping to keep everybody quiet, and I almost made it through this until Neo.
Oh,
But
okay.
anyway,
Whoa. Hold on. You're now. I'm picturing this in my mind. Okay, you're
It's
on the
scary.
floor in the dark.
No, yep, on the couch, yeah, in the dark. And I've got 4 pugs sleeping around me, and one has decided to go sleep in the chair by himself, and he is my little yappy guy over there.
I love it.
So, yeah, well, unfortunately, they seem to think it's quite funny sometimes when I'm talking to start barking. So, apparently, Neo decided it was time, but they are a handful. They are, perpetual 4-year-olds. And right now, I have a crew that is mostly younger. I did lose some of the elder pugs, so it is crazy here. I forgot how mischievous they can be.
But don't
when they're
worry.
young.
This is a pet-friendly show.
Good. Okay. Phew. So next time I'll just let all the chaos reign.
There you go. I love animals. In fact, one of the contract jobs that our mother company, Relmar, did was with the SPCA. And our mission was to let the public know exactly what the inspectors do, or the law enforcement branch of the SPCA does. And we did. It was a 6-month contract, and my heart and my hat goes off to anyone who volunteers their time or works with the SPCA, because they are special people.
Absolutely. I have adopted primarily pocket pets from the SPCA. Although I did get one bearded dragon. His name is Falcon. He's asleep. But they take in so many animals, and it's including farm animals.
Yeah.
I mean, ducks and pigs and horses and goats and things that you would never think would be given up. So they really are. They're a tremendous organization. But I am actually up to I'm training my next generation of paranormal pugs, Ajax and Neoptolemus. Neo, unfortunately, is a little high-strung, so I'm not quite sure how this will work, but we're working with him. Hopefully, he'll begin to mellow out. But he'll be 3 years old this March.
Oh my goodness!
But these pugs were really weird because I started losing some of my elders, and so I decided to get a puppy. And we found one that I ended up with, but his birthday is on the same birthday as my 10-year-old current paranormal pug. They are literally a decade apart in age, but they have the exact same birthday, different breeders, different parts of the Florida. Then my mother found one, and I should never let her look at anything ever again. She's like, oh, look, here's one. He's 12 weeks old, and he's half off. And his birthday was literally the next day, different part of Florida. Yeah. So we have these 3 paranormal pugs that have birthdays on the 22nd and 23rd of March. It was bizarre there. I was just like, okay, I guess that's my sign.
Tell our listeners why that you call them paranormal pugs.
So I have a grumble. I have a pug pack, and essentially I try to see the ones that are most intuitive, most alert to their surroundings, and on very special cases that have to meet a plethora of criteria before I take the pugs, they will actually come to help us investigate. So they've been to places like Art Lofts and the Suntan. They've helped us check out Philippi Park. But again, all of these places we've already checked, and they're safe and they're pet friendly, and I have permission. And I have a list of things. I have to have been there first. There can't be anything dark.
Right.
But Patroclus is my current paranormal pug, and he is going to be 13 this year. So I know he's going to retire out fairly soon, and I'm trying to see about these 2 young boys. Ajax is a doll. He is the sweetest little thing, but he's not as intuitive as Neoptolemus. But Neo is high-strung and yappy, and I swear he is a 5-year-old child. He is not a pug. He is the impest. Oh, he is an imp. He is the naughtiest pug I have had in my entire life.
Brandy,
so I'm like, I know he's a kid.
Brandy, what do people say when you turn up to do an investigation and you bring your ghost busting pugs with you?
Well, they always have a heads up, so
Okay.
I never just show up with a pug. But the pugs have a great time. Patroclus has been to Albert Whitted Airport, which is haunted down here, and everybody just oohs and ahs over them. And of course, I pay attention to them. They have to be able to kind of lead me. I am not going to drag them into an area they don't want to go to. And of course, the other problem is sometimes doing our recordings, because pugs will snort and snore and pant. They will pant a lot when they get excited. And so sometimes I actually have to take the pug and sit outside while the rest of my team does the EVPs and the recordings. But there have been times, the last time we were at Albert Whitted with Patroclus, he stood and stared at this one spot where they indeed had phenomenon. The woman actually had her head petted by something that was not there. And it's strange because pugs are wiggly by nature. And so when they stand stock still, it always makes me, I'm like, okay, something going on here, because they're really focused. I mean, pugs are very social by nature, and so, you know, they're strange little critters, but they're delightful. They also are supposed to be, they were bred for royalty in ancient China. They go all the way back to 500 BCE, and they still remember that. So they demand to be treated like royalty. But the pugs have a great time. Like I said, I make sure that there's nothing dark. But people just love them, and they are so cute. And it's been intriguing when they do get a hit. And I'm like, oh, look at that. Okay, they were right. That's pretty cool. But, yeah, I don't know how the next generation is going to work out, because, as I said, Neo is perhaps one of the smartest that I have. He is now the puggle's up. But he is also the most high-strung. Oh, see, you shouldn't have said that you're pet friendly. Now they're all gonna act
Hey, no
up.
problem.
I have to leave out.
Hey, Brandy,
But-
we're running really short on time. In the next minute, what would you like? What's your final message to the X-Zone Nation?
Be kind to your ghosts. Be kind to each other. If you are in St. Pete, feel free to check us out. We will be doing some haunted history trolley tours with the St. Pete Museum of History. I do walking tours. They are history heavy, so just be aware of that. But I do try to give you some insight into Tampa and St. Pete. Check out Valentine. Happy Valentine to everybody out there.
As you as well.
And thank you so much for having me on here again.
It's always a great pleasure, Brandy. We'd love to have you back on in the future to talk about specific investigations that you and your team have gone and conducted, and get into the scientific and the psychological aspect of the great work you do.
Oh, absolutely. Roser Park is the one we want to talk about, because we are getting phenomenal stuff from there, recorded, multiple types of equipment. It's really cool.
Brandy Stark, thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to the next time we meet here in the X-Zone. And happy, what's it called again? Valentine.
Thank you. Enjoy some Edgar Allan Poe on February 10th. That is official Valentine this year.
Take care, Brandy.
You too.
Bye-bye now. X-Zone Nation, my guest this hour has been Brandy Stark. Visit this website. And I know a lot of you go down to Florida, into the St. Pete's area, as well as to other parts of Florida. www.spiritsofstpete.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break. No, I won't. Craig tells me this is the end of tonight's show. Wow, did it ever go by fast? I'll be back tomorrow night at 10 o'clock as once again we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And we're here Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until midnight on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone@classic1220.ca. And until tomorrow night, my friends, always remember to keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. From everyone here at Classic 1220 to everyone out there, good evening.